restart the mimer that we started yesterday. Yesterday we went off on a topic to discuss a bit more in depth, but let's see, the idea of here is Im lo Teid'i Lach. It's a quote from Shir Hashirim, the love poem between God and the Jewish people. Im lo Teid'i Lach, if you won't know. I think it refers to if you won't know where I am, if you're looking for me. Hayafa banashim, the most beautiful amongst the women, which obviously refers to the Jewish people. Tze'iloch bikvei atzoin, follow the footsteps of the goats. Ure'i is g'dei esayich, not goats. Tzoin is sheep. Ure'i is g'dei esayich, and shepherd your goats al mishkan hasaroyim, on the houses of the shepherds. How's it connected to our weekly parsha? In our parsha, God describes that Rachel was beautiful. Hinei ksiv. It says, "V'rochel hoysa yefas Torah v'yefas mara." God describes in the Torah Rachel, which we're going to see again. Rachel refers to the Jewish people. Rachel was beautiful of form and beautiful of looks. So basically, the Torah tells us, what does it mean to be beautiful? Obviously, we're also talking about spiritually. What does it mean to be beautiful? Being beautiful has two parts to it. What does it mean, beautiful? Yefas toyar, beautiful of form. Pirush says the Alter Rebbe, Yefas toyar. It's basically based on Rashi. Beautiful of form means betziur ha'ivarim, with the form of the limbs. Lafit hunasam b'midasam, according to their nature, in their right size, or they would call it nowadays in the right proportion. Having the right proportions according to the actual limb. The yefas mare bezivoid cluster ponim. What does it mean, beautiful of look? Not the form, but rather the glow of the face. Might want to call it charisma. Might want to call it charm. Chen.
It's a beautiful word.
What? The word chen. The word chana. Chana is chen.
It's my mom. Chana.
Oh, on your brother's birthday, we mentioned your mother's name. Rachel Rachel refers to the Jewish people. Rachel is called a sheep. As the pasuk says, like a sheep that is silent in front of those that shear her. Shear, sheer. So a sheep in general is considered to be subdued, but obviously the idea over here is not subjugation so much like the idea of bittul, the idea of being a real recipient to the godly light. So right away, what do we want to do? You don't have to be a genius to figure this out. But what does the Alter Rebbe want to try to do right away over here is what? To explain this spiritually. In other words, not only, first of all, the Alter Rebbe will always do two things. Yeah, we're in the month of Kislev, we're celebrating Chassidus. Chassidus is always going to do two things. First of all, make it spiritual, and then turn it into avodah. It should just be information. It should be something that we could do, something with our internal self, becoming closer to God. So basically, Rachel was beautiful. What does that tell us? First of all, beauty is a spiritual beauty, and we're going to see that there's a difference, between the two aspects of beauty. But then the idea is going to be, how do we do that? What does it mean to have that beauty, and what do I need to do in order to actually tap into that beauty? So says the Alter Rebbe, what does it mean, beautiful? Vinyan, the Inyan is, Kehinei Ksiv. The Pasuk says, "Na'asad b'tzalmeinu," may us make man in our image. Again, as we said before, what is Chassidus going to say right away? What does it mean, make a person in our image? Why does God share with us that idea? Because we have the avodah to become in His image. So obviously God made us in His image, meaning to say we have the potential to be in His image. And also our bodies are, so to say, in His image. But on the spiritual level, we could also be in His image, and that service to become in his image.
It's basically like being like your. A lot of people can be born and look like your parents, like being like the image of your parents. But if your parents, like, you could be a great Talmud Chacham or something like that, but you don't. Maybe you have to.
So being your image of your father. Very good. Very good. I like this example. So what does it say over here? Let us make man in our image. In our image, God is talking to the angels over there. What does it mean in our image? On the Ezekiel, in the image, in the vision that he had, what does it say? That on the chair there was a form like the form of man. And that's the concept of the godly attributes. Gdula is chesed, gvura is might. Then comes Chashem Agdula v'Gvura v'Teferes v'Netzach v'Ahoid Kichol b'Shamayim v'Aretz. Or leave it over here and just bring a cup of hot water like this could also have.
Yeah, bigger, larger one or just one? I'll bring one cup. Yeah.
That's the problem with the live. You can't
Pause.
You can't pause.
But everyone in the live are enjoying it.
What?
They're enjoying this little pieces of wisdom coming in between. The share of port while we're waiting.
So it's actually very interesting. In the pasuk, this is a pasuk from Divrei Hayomim, I think. I don't remember exactly where this pasuk is from, but this is not Kabbalah. This is actually a pasuk in Tanakh.
Mm-hmm.
But the pasuk is sharing with us the 7 attributes of God. What are the 7 attributes of God? Lach Hashem Hagdula.
Right on.
So for yours first.
You're not band.
Cool. Lach Hashem Hagdula. Gdula is chesed. Gvura is
Might.
Is Lach Hashem Hagdula v'Gvura v'Teferes v'Netzach v'Ahoid. Then comes Kichol b'Shamayim v'Aretz.
Okay.
For everything, open your siddur. You have your siddur over there?
Mm-hmm.
You also have a siddur? You have a siddur
Where
over
is
there?
it?
I have my
So
bag.
it's in Vayivarech David.
Where?
In Vayivarech David. Before the Az Yashir that we say every day. Come, let me open it.
Okay.
It opened over there automatically?
השם הגדולה והתפארת ונצח והחוד וכיר כל בשמיים ובארץ לכל השם המלאכה.
Beautiful. So we have Gdula is Chesed, Gvura, Teferes, Netzach, Hoid. Then we have Kichol b'Shamayim u'Ba'aretz. For everything that is in the heaven
and earth.
In the earth. Over here, Lach Hashem Agdula v'Gvura. Then Lach Hashem Mamlacha refers to the sphere of. What does Mamlacha mean?
The Malchut, no? It's kingdom.
The sphere of Malchus.
Here he is for Gvura, it's strength.
Right, but I wanna. Which one is missing over here?
Yeah, Yesod, no?
Exactly, Yesod. Yesod is called over here Kichol b'Shamayim u'Va'aretz. What does it mean Kichol b'Shamayim u'Va'aretz? Everything that is in heaven and earth. Because why? Because Yesod is the connection between heaven and earth.
The top layer, no.
So if you think I'm just making this up, let's open up to the benching, and I'll show you something fascinating. In the benching, we say all the harachmons. Did you ever think what is the secret of the sequence of the harachmons?
No.
It's the sfirot. But we're going to go from bottom up. What is the first sphira? Malchus.
Yeah.
What is the first one? Let's go in the rachmans and benching. Harachamon hu yim.
Yizakenu?
Yimloch. Yizakenu is the end.
Oh, wait, where are we?
Haracham.
Come, give me the siddur.
The first one is Haracham.
Oh, the first one.
Oh, that Harach one. Oh, yeah.
So what is the first one? Harachmon hu
Hu imloch.
aleinu lolam va'ed. What is the next one meant to be?
It says
Yesod.
Yesod.
So how does Yesod called?
Yishparach.
Harachamon hu yidbarech. What does it mean yidbarech? You'll be blessed. No, not compassionate. Yidbarech, you should be blessed. Bashamayim. You see? Because what is Yisod always? The connection of heaven and earth.
Okay.
What is the next one that we need? Netzach and Hod. Netzach is endurance and Hod is beauty. What is the next one? Harachamon hu yishtabach. It should be praised. Ula netzach netzachim. Netzach is and Hod. Yitadar banu lenetzach netzachim. Yitadar is Hod, and netzach netzachim is netzach. What is the next one we want? Tiferet. What is the next one? Harachamon hu. You're right. He shall give us sustenance b'chavod, with honor. That's Tiferet. What is the next one? What are we looking for the next one? Gvura. What is the next one? He should break the yoke of Golus. That's Gvura. Breaking. What is the next one? We're looking for Chesed. Chesed is blessing. Yeah. What are we going to ask for? Rachamon hu yishlach lanu.
Like to guide us and direct us to our land. This one?
No, that's connected to Yishber Ol Gos Matzavreinu V'Yochanukum Yislar Tzenu. Then the next Rachman is it should send a lot of blessing into this house. What is a lot of blessing? A lot of blessing refers to Chesed. Very nice. Next. That refers to that. And then afterwards we say Rachman hu yivarech et avi mori vet imi morati. Who knows in Kabbalah what does Abba and Ima mean? Chachma and Bina.
Because the child is das, right?
The relationship, they're coming together, that's das. The child is already the spheres.
Wow.
So everything is precise.
So people that denounce Kabbalah, they don't do the benching?
No one denounces Kabbalah. They denounce that simple people don't have to know it. And because learning Kabbalah could be dangerous. But Chassidus explains Kabbalah in a way that we could take the Kabbalah without the danger.
I met somebody who denounced it.
Denounced Kabbalah?
And I said it wasn't possible. You have to.
I don't know. Well, obviously, you could also find people that denounce the Palestinian Authority said yesterday that we are the ones that killed the people in Nova.
Oh, yeah.
With helicopters. They took it down after the whole world got outraged. Let's go. So, basically, what do we see? That we were created in God's image. And what is God's image? God's image are the 7 Sfirot. So how do we become a vessel to God's Sfirot? Since God's Sfirot are divine, how could we become a vessel to that? So says the Alter Rebbe, it's completely not commensurate, the size or the measurement of the soul that is finite, in front of the Eibishter's traits, shehu ein sof, that he is infinite, v'lemidosav ein sof, and God's attributes are ein sof. In order that it should shine on his soul, the light of love, from the light of the infinite one, blessed be he. A person has to have bittul. That's the idea of being a Rachel. The idea of being a Rachel is to have bittul. But it's something that I already discussed a lot of times. A bittul doesn't mean nullification. It's a bad translation. Bittul means to be in sync. Bittul means when you're transparent. Something that even to do that in front of God is a very, very high level. But to do that in front of people sometimes, there is a concept also even in psychology, in the Rogerian school of psychology, there's this idea of being transparent. You're sitting with a client, Don't think about you. Just be completely transparent and be with your client completely. That's the idea of bittul. And Rachel, which represents bittul, subservience, but again, the idea is not so much the subservience, like the idea is that it's not about me now. It's completely about God. And then a person could draw upon himself that his midos should be in sync and aligned with the Eibishter's midos. I'm not so afraid of the word subservience, but my main idea is, obviously it includes subservience, but sometimes subservience feels so religious. Could be subservient from two places. Could be subservient because I have no choice. I have a king that is going to punish me. Is going to smite me. That's a very religious perspective. There, he's going to smite me, and that's why I do what he wants. But over here, we're talking about something else. We're talking to align our nature with Hashem's nature. My chesed should be a conduit to Hashem's chesed. That means to be beautiful. What does it mean to be beautiful? Especially if we're going to talk about the beautiful of form. So God doesn't have a form, but God does express himself. Since man was created in God's image, what is God's image? The 10 Sfirot. So what does it mean to be in sync with God? That my chesed is in sync with his chesed. My gvura is in sync with his gvura.
It's like being subservient to... It's a different way to be subservient.
Exactly.
You can be subservient through...
To be aligned.
Fear, but also through love. And through love, you usually, if you're in subservient to love, you will see the characteristics of this being, and you want, or this entity, whatever, and you want to be like it.
Exactly. But it's not only to be like it; it's to be it. That's the big difference over here. To be like it is like you're trying to imitate or emulate.
Become more to become it.
Exactly. You know, the Kabbalists have a prayer, mainly the Sephardic Kabbalists. They start their day, they say, may my right hand be a chariot for your chesed. May my left hand be a chariot to your gvura. May my torso be a chariot to your tiferet. May my netzach and hod be a chariot to your feet. So
to
again,
visualize it.
Because, to visualize it, and also that's really the fear of Kabbalah. That's the reason why the Baal Shem Tov said not to learn Kabbalah, because you could very easily make it very physical. So when you think about lights and vessels, you think about lights, vessels. Really, the whole Kabbalah is analogy. That's what the Vilna Gaon said. The Vilna Gaon said that the whole Kabbalah is an analogy, a metaphor, and only the Vilna Gaon was a big chassid of Rav Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, the Ramchal, said that only the Ramchal understood the analog, the meaning of the metaphor. But what is connected to what we're saying is that really it's all a metaphor. The Kabbalists, like the ones that are strictly Kabbalists, and that is mainly the Sephardic Kabbalists, they really take Kabbalah very literally. So obviously the big Kabbalists understood that it's only a metaphor. But they believed even that people that don't understand that it's a metaphor, just saying Zohar, learning Kabbalah itself, like lifts up the person to a higher level. But what we could use from it is when you see such a Kabbalistic prayer. So again, from a Kabbalistic perspective, we're talking about the hand chesed.
Isn't when you say the difference here is like one has a more an emotional approach and one has a more intellectual approach to it? Usually when you put limbs into it, it's more emotional because you get connected to it emotionally.
It's not even an emotional connection. It's a very physical. For example, in Kabbalah there is a concept of prostrating on grave sites of tzaddikim. So what do the Kabbalists do? They actually go and prostrate. So Chassidus comes and says, what is the idea of prostration? Prostration means that you put head to head, heart to heart, feet to feet, hand to hand. What does that mean? Head to head means that you really, when you come to a gravesite of a tzaddik, you try to enter his mindset. Your hands become like his hands. Like you try to make your hands be as giving and giving for the same causes like the hands of the tzaddik. So again, Chassidus didn't completely move away the physical aspect of Kabbalah. There is still some symbolism over there, but mainly I could say 95% was moved away. Kabbalah is very into the physical manifestation. For example, that's why Kabbalah says a person has to wear white on Shabbos. Hasidim don't wear white on Shabbos.
So actually, this Shabbos,
Wear black.
yeah, this Shabbos when we were walking to the rabbi and he was no shirt. So saw a woman dressed in complete white, complete everything white, layers upon layers, and she had tzitzis on.
Oh my.
Meisharim, oh.
First time I've seen it. It was dressed completely in white and she had tzitzis.
If you'd stick around, she'd probably get bad reception.
You could barely see it because she was so dressed in white, but you can see them. Everything was white. The shoes, everything, every single thing. There was nothing.
Okay, so the question, again, Chassidus, for example, says, after explaining the whole long idea of prostration on the gravestone of tzaddik on a spiritual level, Chassidus says that you should try to put your head on top of the grave. Again, there's certain symbolism. But for example, when it comes to think about unity of names of God, which in Kabbalah that's pretty big.
Yeah.
So you could see in certain siddur, and maybe even in this siddur, there's names
read it
being
yesterday
combined.
in Midrash.
You have it?
Yesterday in Midrash, it talks about 3 times Hashem moved people.
So you see?
Oh,
So you
so
see
just
under,
like that.
yeah, I just opened the book and I just you see under the hay the name Adnai.
No one has explained that to me. I don't know how to read this siddur.
Okay.
But I see it. Yeah, I see it.
And right after that you see the name of God, the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, a combined 1 letter is from Yud-Kei Vav-Kei and 1 letter is from Adnai.
Yeah. Yes.
See combined?
Yeah.
Because in Kabbalah there's a concept of combining God's names
In different ways, yeah.
in different forms.
Abulaf
So this is so.
Am I supposed
so
to read it differently?
No.
Okay.
No, you don't have to. The opposite. You don't have to read it differently.
Yeah.
So,
Not even like tone?
No,
Nothing.
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 The
Okay.
opposite. That's exactly what I'm trying to explain now. So Kabbalah says to combine names, but combining names could be something very, very physical, very, very practical. Well, what are you combining names? It's okay, let's combine David and Ezra. So we're just going to write on we're going to write on the board Daled, Ayin.
Zion.
No, the Zion is going to be afterwards. Then Vav, Ayin, Yud, Zion, Reish.
Ma?
There's a
Where's the marker?
There's a Yud in my name?
Yeah, we want to try to make it longer. You could write David with a. So let's say I say David and Ezra need to be combined. So if I look at it from a very, very Kabbalah, from a very dry perspective, so we'll go to write David, Ayin, Vav, Zion,
Yud.
Yud, Reish, Dalet.
You're alternating it?
And Aleph.
Exactly. So open up your siddur,
No,
you see that it's alternating.
Aleph.
It's not so simple. Let's start with Aleph Ezra. It's an argument. There was
Really?
There was once a big tzaddik that didn't know how to read Ezra. So that night he had a dream with a pasuk Ohr Zarua la tzaddik. A light is planted for the tzaddik, ula yishrei leiv simcha, and for the righteous of heart, happiness. He woke up in the morning and he realized that the last letters of the pasuk Ohr Zarua la tzaddik yishrei leiv simcha is Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
And over there it's with a hay.
Interesting.
So there's different ways of writing Ezra. Okay, so you see this.
How would this be pronounced?
It's not pronounced. You look at it and you see a combination of the two.
Yeah.
So What do you think about this? When I tell you that I want you to combine over here the energies of David and Ezra.
You can see it.
Oh wow! So you most probably your soul has an knack for Kabbalah, but you see it over there.
Oh really? Is this something? Yeah, I can kind of see it, kind of.
Okay, but the idea is that we're missing the whole point. We took a brilliant idea of here, and David has a special energy, and you have a special energy, and I say, let's combine the two. So really, what am I trying? What is the message I'm trying to make? I'm trying to combine an energy. I'm trying to explain a concept. Let's say David is very motivated, and you're very analytical. And I say, let's combine motivation with analytics.
Because Hashem's different names have different attributes.
Exactly. So Chassidim frowned upon the Kabbalists that made it all about combining letters. You're missing the whole point. When we say combine, open up your siddur, you'll see that every time it says God's name, it's afterwards combined.
Yep.
Yud Kei Vav Kei.
Every time.
Why? Because there's a concept in Kabbalah to combine the two names. So Chassidus says, guys, you're missing the whole point. The whole point is to understand what Havaya means. And understand what Elokim, what Adonai means. And combine the two, for example. Just for example. The meaning of combining the two names of God, Havaya and Adonai, is to live with Hashgacha Pratis. Why is it living with Hashgacha Pratis? Because Havaya is God's name beyond the world. Adonai is God's name that constantly creates the world, that comes into the world. And when you live your life and you realize God is found within nature on every step of the way, that's combining the two names. So Chassidus, to a certain extent, had a war with the very practical Kabbalists. They said, you're missing the whole point. What do you think? It's about combining letters? You get the idea? So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't combine the letters. That's not the point. Chassidus is not trying to take away anything. But Chassidus says that the reason why Kabbalah combined the letters was because we're talking about very spiritual people. And when they saw David, they saw high motivation. And they saw Ezra, they saw analytics. And say combine the two, and then they were able to see in the letters that special energy. But if you're just going to be a person that is just going to take names and you never went into the depth of what Kabbalah is trying to say, and you're learning it very dry, it's just like a plumbing system. A plumbing system is like, oh, this goes here, this goes there, let's combine the two. Is that what I'm saying?
I'm wondering what the what do Chassidim do instead of that?
We try to learn what is the meaning of Havaya, what is the meaning of Elokim. And then when you say combine, you don't think right away of combining
the text.
There's two different
the texts or the letters. You're thinking about combining the two energies.
It's two different aspects.
In other words, Chassidus on one hand is very into Kabbalah, but Chassidus on the other hand is also trying to destroy the externality of Kabbalah. It's like trying to destroy the mashal. It's trying to bring out the nimshal. Imagine a kid that goes to school and his teacher is very good in sharing metaphoric stories. So every day he comes home with another story about a king that really loves his son, and his son ran off, and the king went looking for his son, right? But doesn't realize that the king is referring to God and the son is the Jewish people. So he comes after a year of learning by that teacher, and he has a whole book, and he calls it The Story of the King and His Son. The tales of the king that really loved his son. And he never gets to the analog. So we have no issue with the stories, but we want you to understand that every time it says king, really who is it referring to? God. Every time it talks about the son or the daughter, it's referring to the Jewish people. Every time it talks about love, it's God's care for the Jewish people. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But there were different approaches, and in the Sephardic world, Kabbalah was taught in a very, very dry way. They came with a perspective that said, these metaphors are from the Arizal, these metaphors are holy, and they're right. These are the metaphors that are holy. And just like you have an iPhone, you don't necessarily understand how it works, but it works. These things contain all the highest secrets. Chassidus, on the other hand, was very against that. Chassidus said, no, it's not about combining letters. And in the words of the Middle Rebbe, that we're going to celebrate this week, his yahrzeit and his birthday, on the same day, he passed away the day that he was born. He writes in the introduction to his book, Loi be'ele chafetz Hashem. Hashem does not want that. Hashem does not want just combining letters. Again, it doesn't have any problem with your siddur. It just says when you look at the siddur, think about the combination of the two energies. Understand that Havaya is a certain energy, and Elokim in Adnai is a certain energy.
That would be more for me, like I've read upon it a little bit before. Isn't it about the approach on how you're doing it? For example, Avraham Abulafia. He was combining letters, but his approach was completely different on the end goal.
Right, but he was very into combining letters. But
Exactly.
the question, exactly. So again, it's like saying I have an amazing teacher that shares a lot of stories of a king. So Abulafia, he by himself was a huge tzaddik, and when he combined letters, he was actually talking about the energy of the letters.
Exactly.
Just like when you say a story with a king, and it's obvious that who are you referring to when you say king? You're referring to God.
Exactly.
But if you just take the stories of the king, you miss the whole point.
Exactly.
So when going back to what we were saying, when the Kabbalists say, "Let my hand be a chariot for your chesed, let my left hand be a chariot for your gevura," what is it talking about? Is it talking like about the physical hand? Obviously, it's also talking about the physical hand.
The actions of
But
the hand.
exactly, the energy of the hand with the energy of chesed.
Yeah.
And that's why it says in Kabbalah, I don't know if I ever shared it with you, Ezra, but that's fascinating. What does it say in Kabbalah? When you give a coin for tzedakah, what are you actually creating? God's name.
Yeah.
The yud is the coin.
The
The fingers is the hey. Arm is the vav. And the hand of the poor person is another hey. Now, this too, you could say, whoa, this is so cool. Yud, hey, vav, hey. Really, but when you when you really understand what it is, you'll understand why the coin is the yud, why the 5 fingers is the hey, why this is the vav, and why the lower hey is the malchus. That's the recipient. That's the hand. But what does it mean? Let my hand be a chariot for your chesed. It means that may I be in your image. May I be in sync with you. That is really what bittul means. So again, I have nothing against the word subservience, but I think that the word subservience is missing out on a lot of depth over here. The idea is to be in sync with God. I should love what he loves. I should be appalled but what he is appalled. Look at the whole world now. The world is basically split between two, between the people that are appalled by evil and there are people that are attracted to evil with some warped explanation. But ultimately they're warped, they're attracted to evil. And we want to become divine. What does it mean to become divine? That we should love what God loves and be appalled by the things that God is appalled. And that's beauty. The ultimate beauty is God. God has 10 sfirot. When my 10 sfirot are aligned with his 10 sfirot, that is the meaning of Rachel being beautiful of form. Form refers to the sfirot. And when my sfirot are in sync with his sfirot, that is the idea of beauty. Have a beautiful day. Have a meaningful davening, and see you tomorrow. Okay, so which idea could I turn into a 30-second?